right, so welcome to Cooking Fun with Joanna. I am your host, Joanna, and boy, I've got that light right on top of my head, don't I? So I am Joanna Hadaroska, and I am the owner of Nutrition in Motion. I help athletes basically heal from their GI distress, fatigue, and any other weird health issue using real food and anti-inflammatory protocols. So today, and one of the things to help you be healthy and be more well and perform better as an athlete and as a human being is to eat real food. And today we are going to be cooking some more real food. And we're doing something new in my book, which is going to be a combination of turkey with the vegetables inside the turkey. And then we're going to decide as a group here, and one of the people that usually are online is actually here in person, but we're going to decide whether we're going to put this on a bed of greens and we'll make the dressing that goes along with it, or we can saute some greens and put it on the side. And I'm not going to actually put a carbohydrate onto the side because we're putting beets, carrots, and my store didn't have zucchini, so we're going to do yellow squash, but we're putting that into the burgers, so then it balances out the meal with the starchy carbohydrates in the burger. Got it? Yep. And then we're going to add an avocado on top of that too, because avocados make everything taste better, especially with a burger. So what you will need is a big bowl. The recipe calls for a pound of turkey. If you want to make double the amount, you can. I do have 2 pounds of turkey available. Then we're going to cut, if you're using 1 pound, 1 onion. If you got 2 pounds, you're going to chop up 2 onions. We're going to put a couple cloves of garlic. I decided that I'm going to put horseradish. Horseradish from the Polish deli. I'm going to put some of that into my burgers. And I'm going to add rosemary. And then we're going to add zucchini or yellow squash. We're going to shred that. We're going to shred a beet or 2. And I decided to get the cooked beets just because it will allow it to cook faster. And then we're going to shred some carrots. Easy peasy, right? That's all we're going to do. And we're going to, so then you'll need a big pan for the burgers. And if we're going to saute greens, then we're going to use garlic, olive oil, and maybe even a splash of lemon juice in the smaller pan. And if we're going to do greens, I decided baby arugula would be a good thing. And then we're going to do a vinaigrette. So all these options, and we're just going to go ahead and get started with chopping the onion. Okay. Yep. Like I said, easy peasy. And you could even shred the, because I have a mandolin. Where's my mandolin? I have a mandolin, and I could just shred the onion on this, but I find that it's actually easier to chop the onion just because it gets so slippery. So I had already cut the onion off because I was making my own broth. So cut the end off. Now cut the onion in half. You want to use a big butcher knife and make sure that it's sharp. And then you're just going to obviously hold it appropriately, but you're just going to peel those outer layers of the onion, and we're going to dice it. So I'm actually going to cut it across first. So you're going to hold it down and push down with a knife. I'm probably going to have Gina do some of the work here, so that she's, you know, not just standing here looking pretty. You might as well come over here and just, like, you know, wave. Well, you can't wave into the camera. Well, yeah, you can. Come here. Hey, Gina, how are you? So we're just gonna go ahead and hold on to that onion, concentrate on what you're doing, unlike me chatting, because the second you look up and stop concentrating, that knife will slip and we will then have a bloody mess on our hands. And you know what? Blood in your meals. Oh, we also need an egg for the, well, we might need an egg, we might not. But you're just gonna go ahead and put the onion into the bowl. And if some of the onion falls on the floor, well, that's just part of what happens. You know, I had my niece over for Easter weekend, And I was telling her, I said, good thing I didn't do like hardcore cleaning in the kitchen, because we totally made a mess. We cooked one night and then we did baking.
Oh, and you always make it about
something. And the baking, oh my God, there's stuff all over the place. And then the flour, and so I was like, yeah, good thing I didn't do hardcore cooking. But with this one, you also want to dice it really, really small. I don't know if you can see on the edge of my knife. It's like 1/4 of an inch is what you're trying to dice them into in terms of thickness. Because I sometimes just do and forget to give the instructions. And again, we're just going to take this. I think I did a better job of keeping it all in the bowl. Look for the extra skin. Then we're going to chop up a garlic clove or 2, because there's 1 clove is never enough. Ever. Well, okay, I'm gonna do 3 because that's what. No, I'll just.
3.
Yeah, we'll do 3. So Gina is the one that recommended this idea to me of you take the flat side of the knife, put it on top of the garlic, smash it down, which that was a little bit too smashed. If you can see, it's completely deteriorated the onion, but you know, it gets the skin off really quick. So look, it's easier to cut the onion, the garlic too. Who? Ann Burrell.
Yeah, Holy Chefs on TV.
All right. Hey, you can learn something on TV. I used to love watching Chopping Block. And that's one of those shows where you are, there's 4 or 5 people competing. And they just give you 6 ingredients. I remember one time, one of the ingredients was the hot little yellow, the hot little red candies, like hot mics or something, like red hot, red hots. So they had to actually use red hots with whatever else, you know, with the other 5 ingredients and make dinner out of that. I'm like, how do you do that? And so I always just loved watching the show just to see what they were doing. So with the garlic, you're gonna cut it into 1/2-inch little strips, and then also dice it as small as you can into those 1/4 inch or even less diced pieces. And nothing has to be perfectly even. We don't care. That's the beauty of home cooked. It doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of cooking too versus baking. Baking, you have to be precise. Here you don't. And if you want to alter the recipe, you alter the recipe. You want to add garlic, you add garlic. The only thing you don't want to do is what my sister once did. She was made a fabulous, it was an absolute fabulous tomato spaghetti sauce. And we tried it that evening, and then the next day she was on a fennel kick and she put anise seeds in there. She had to throw that. Gina's shaking her head over here like, oh, that's awful. Well, yeah, it was absolutely awful. So she took a fabulous recipe or a fabulous, you know, spaghetti sauce and ruined it because she added fennel. So sometimes your experiments will work and sometimes they will not. So if you're ever making anything with tomato sauce, spaghetti wise, fennel does not go with tomato. No, fennel goes with tomato, but it won't go with the oregano and the basil. That's the thing. It won't go with the other spices. So if she just did the fennel, it might have been okay, but that's not what she did. What are you gonna do? Learn from her mistake. All right, so now you're gonna take your zucchini or, you know, yellow squash, because that's what I have. And I'm gonna hope that the seeds don't become a problem. But you're doing basically if you're doing a pound of turkey, then you're gonna do a 1/2 cup of carrots, a 1/2 cup of beets, and a 1/2 cup of the shredded zucchini or the shredded yellow squash. So now you see me, now you don't. This is And I could have gotten zoodles. I actually contemplated getting zoodles, which are the noodles at the grocery store. But I've also found that if you're not using them that night, they will go bad because they're already cut up. And zucchini is one that it will last, for a week in your refrigerator until you cut it. And as soon as you cut it, you're done. So that's approximately, that looks like approximately half a cup, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so that's approximately half a cup of the yellow squash or zucchini if you have zucchini. And then we're gonna do, if you don't want red fingers, I suggest that you get some disposable gloves. Where are my disposable gloves? I know I have a glass in here. Disposable gloves. But I think what I have to do is open the container first. And then, because these are fairly small beets, then I might do 2. Or I might just do 1. But now that I opened it, it's time to put the gloves on. Otherwise, everything will be red. My fingers will be stained red. Like, I don't know why they don't just use beet powder for food coloring. It'd be so much healthier. Now, note to self, when you're doing something like this, pick a shirt that doesn't have, flappy little arms. You just, because the sleeves are just going to get all inside everything if I'm not careful. All right, here we go. Like I said, I'm using the cooked beet, and around here you can get a brand called Love Beets. You pick up the package and just show them the Love Beets. But that one, they're actually local in Bala Cynwyd. That's where the corporate office is. Who knew? All in Philadelphia. But that's all they do is just beets, and they do cooked beets. They actually have a beet juice with different kinds of flavors. So if you need an extra oomph in recovery or an oomph with energy, beets can actually improve your nitrous oxide, which will give you energy and will also improve your recovery. I actually had an Olympic rower that I was working with and had her start adding, some of the root vegetables in and adding the beets. And she was like, oh my God, the beets are the bomb. Like, I can't even tell you, I recover so fast from that. And a couple of years ago, I actually bought the beet juice and just would add that into my water bottle on the bike. Same thing. It's like, everybody's wondering, like, what is Joanna on? Beet juice. So definitely helps. If you're feeling a little run down, beets, baby. And actually, I think the horseradish would go well with that. If you're just eating beets on their own, they can be bitter for some people. So like putting some kind of citrus with it really helps to kind of get rid of some of that bitter. But I like the fact that these are already cooked, so they're softer, and it'll help these cook a lot faster too. So here I'm just going to shred 3 onions. I mean onions. Does this look like an onion to you? No. Just shred 3 carrots. If you want a mandolin like this, it's by a company called Leifheit, L-E-I-F as in Frank, H-E-I-T. And I don't think they make it anymore. You have to go on eBay. And this is just so handy. And the cool thing about this one is it actually has 3 extra slots where you can do a grater, a really large grater. And it'll do slices too. Okay, it'll do slices. So it's pretty cool. I must have bent that one because it's smart. I've had it for probably 26 years. Mine actually has a thingy. And it's a good thing I put the gloves on because once we get to the turkey burger, that'll get all slimy. So we don't want to necessarily deal with that on our hands. But this is what the base should look like. You should have the carrots, the squash, and the onions, and the squash, onions, garlic, carrots, beets. Yes. Where is the turkey? Oh, it's over there. I think I'm gonna put a tablespoon of the horseradish into mine now. Just get that out of the way. And you can also put a tablespoon of the rosemary.
What did you do? A tablespoon of what?
I put horseradish in and now rosemary. I'm putting in there horseradish just because I like horseradish. And I think it goes well with pretty much turkey and the beets. I actually made beet, carrot, potato pancakes, and that had rosemary and the horseradish in it. Oh my God, they were so good. But I can't find that recipe because otherwise I would make it on this show. All right, so now I'm going to add my pound of turkey. And a lot of times, like with turkey versus beef, I don't know if you can see how wet it is. You know, adding an egg will just make it wetter. And even though the egg can be binding, and then you got to add some flour, or a lot of times what I'll do is I'll add the flaxseed meal just so that it sticks together better. And I think we still might need some flaxseed meal so it sticks together so I can make patties. But that's all you're doing. I forgot to add the salt and pepper. All right. And because I've got all my gloves on, I've got the salt and pepper shaker. They're both salt and pepper you have to melt.
Okay.
But you're just gonna squish and turn, and I'm gonna let her put the pepper on there. You have to put like way more than you normally would.
Yeah.
Because it's got to cook and it's got to cover a pound. All right, I think that should be good. Yeah, it says pea, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, but I purposely got a gray one instead of two the same color.
Yeah,
So I'm like, okay, that's pepper. I don't have to wonder which one's salt, which one's pepper. But the mill is challenging because it's actually hard to fill. You have to get the coarse salt, but a lot of times the coarse sea salt and the Celtic salt is kind of, it's just the opening at the top is teeny tiny. And the salt doesn't roll like peppercorns do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so since I have my lovely assistant here, I'm gonna have her turn on the stove. And if you have the frying pan, the big frying pan on the toaster oven. That one we're gonna, so Shannon, do you wanna saute greens or put it on a bed of greens, or are we gonna do both?
Sauteed.
Okay, so we're gonna do sauteed greens. All right, so I'm very disorganized today. Like really very disorganized. So, but since I have the gloves on, I don't really want to touch anything. You know what I mean? Right. So this is my ghee. And actually, I think you can kind of see what she's doing over there, right?
Yeah, how much do you want?
Just a teaspoon. The fact that the ghee, which I make myself, I'll have to do that one of these days where I will show you. That's good. Because the ghee, I find that you use less of the ghee than you do olive oil. And then I need to turn this down just a teeny bit. Otherwise it'll be roaring. So now you're just gonna make your patties however big you want them. And that looks actually really pretty. Yeah, look at how pretty that looks. So, and we can always flatten them out a little bit more later on. But I think you really should roll them all out, put them on a plate. But I find that they're so sticky that so that you can just lay them all on at the same time onto the pan. But yeah, we don't need extra. We don't need extra flour in here or the egg. And when you have a 12-inch pan, then you can put 5 or 6 of them on the pan. If you have a 10-inch, then you probably only get 4, maybe 5. But I might be able to get 6 on here. This is true. Cool. Yeah, so 1 pound makes 8 or 9 burgers, depending on how big of the burgers you make. And I'm actually gonna save this for tomorrow so that I don't have to. And if I roll it all out now, it's probably all gonna stick together, and then I'll be re-rolling them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, right. So this you can actually just, if you have leftover like I have right now, then you can save it for the next day and make them fresh again. Or you can even keep it in the refrigerator for up to 2 days. So now this is what our burgers look like. I'm just gonna move that out of the side. You can turn, well, we're not gonna do the sauteed greens quite yet because that'll take like 10 seconds. But we will chop up the onion, and I don't think you really need me to show you how to chop an onion because we've done this. We just did it. So you can either chop an onion or a leek, whichever you have available. And depending on how many greens you are doing, you can either do and depending on the size of your onion, you can do half an onion or the whole one. And if you've got the electric stove, turn on the heat for your pan that sautés the greens. Okay. And you can see that the edges of the burger are starting to get white. I'm going to turn this down just a bit more just because I don't want the one side to be burned. We want it to be browned, but we don't want it to be burned. That could be a bad thing. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this one on low. Turn it off accidentally. I think the headphones ringing. No, I thought it was the first part that didn't make it in. I thought I found it today. Maybe they can still see what I'm doing. But usually it's actually a good idea to cut your onion and vegetables right next to the pan you're going to be using. And then if you have nails, it's always good to dig them into the edge of the onion to hold it into place. And not warm enough yet to put the oil in. And I'm gonna do one garlic clove in here as well. I like to use the edge of the pan to scrape the edge of the knife, so then the knife is clean for the most part. I'm gonna chop off the bottom. You really do have to use your palm. You can't just use your thumb. You gotta really like lean onto the knife to get that skin off. It's definitely lean. Lean in, baby. Use the body weight. And you're gonna chop up the garlic in this one too. Now, if you were gonna do the arugula with a dressing, then what you would do is you would take a bowl and you would put a tablespoon of mustard into it, preferably Dijon. No, it's one. All right. And I'm gonna put the oil on. And you're putting about a tablespoon and a half of olive oil onto the pan. So where was I? Okay, the dressing. You're doing 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and about 8 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of either apple cider vinegar or lemon juice. And then you can just put that all together into a container and then you shake it all. And this is my chemistry background. You shake it end over end. And then you get a creamy vinaigrette dressing. And it takes 5 minutes to make, but it is absolutely amazing. So I'm just gonna make sure that all of this garlic is on the bottom. I'm keeping an eye on the turkey burger. Now I have to turn up the heat a little bit because it's not browning, or it's not, the edges are not white enough yet. I'm gonna, but because we had it at a little bit too high heat, they're a little browned on the other side. So I'm gonna flip them and then I'm gonna press them down to spread them out a little bit more so they're not quite as thick. This is the fun part. And you probably do want to have a paper towel in your hand when you're doing this. We're gonna push down on each burger, flatten it out. That's what they do on the when the burgers are on the grill too. They flatten them out. Yeah, I think it definitely does depend, but you can see that there's a lot of liquid that came out of that too. So maybe I should have put the flaxseed meal in. It might have soaked up some of that liquid, but the only good thing is that once that liquid all evaporates, then that liquid is actually gonna help to kind of steam cook the burgers.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing. This is not what I expected. Right. Oh, wait, these are the greens that we're making salad. These are the greens that we're going to use to saute. And you can either chop the greens and make sure that your olive oil is evenly distributed. The container is what takes so long to open. Like, supposedly there should be a tab. Here it is. I think it's not only child proof, but human proof. We already have. I'd like to kind of chop it loosely so that the pieces aren't as big. But this isn't going to be shredded, but at least it's not going to be, it makes it easier to eat when it's slightly smaller. You're just going to chop and drop. I didn't mean that to be rhyming, but it did kind of come out that way, didn't it? And it looks like a lot of spinach, but I will tell you, it'll be half the size in about 2 minutes. And I put some salt and pepper on that. If you wanted to add some craisins or dried cherries, or dry, oh, there, did you hear that? That sounds really good. Okay, so we're gonna add that too. But it just adds a little extra zing, and sometimes I like to add lemon juice and a little bit of cardamom into the, and what is my cardamom? Cardamom, not coriander. But I like to put some cardamom onto the, and look, I actually bought whole dried cherries. Whole dried cherries. They are going to be good. And so you just put a tablespoon of that in there, or a handful, or whatever you want. And you could also put some walnuts in. That also gives it an extra zing and a little extra texture. Are you saying that we'll do that too?
Yeah, we can do that too.
All right, so there's.
I should just watching Instacart Dinner, and they had a walnut challenge.
A walnut
Or
challenge.
do a dish with, some kind of dish with walnuts. That was the main ingredient.
All right, well, this isn't the main ingredient, but you know, take a handful of walnuts and put that into. I think we need a. Looks sparse now. A little bit more. All right. I'm still gonna just leave it. I think the onions still need to saute a little bit more. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the burger to see how well it's cooking. And it actually looks pretty darn good. So the thing that's interesting with this particular turkey burger is that because it has all the veggies in it, I can't tell if it's the turkey that is not cooked yet, or if it's the beets or the carrots, because it adds some nice color. But when I cut this one in half, can you see it's pretty? It looks pretty cooked all the way through. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off, and then I'm just gonna finish playing with my. You need to go up a little higher, is what you need to do. And then we're gonna put a splash of lemon juice in there too. And lemon zest in it is obviously really good too. And if you ever use a lemon and zest it, go ahead and squeeze the juice and just keep adding it to your bottle of Santa Cruz Organic. But a little splash of lemon juice, and that will just put a little extra zing. That's what cooking's all about. Giving a little extra zing. Oh, we never put salt and pepper on here. Did you put salt and pepper?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't either. Oh, see, this is the end of my. There's more salt in there. Well, I'll refill it. Put it on the table. Oh, this one feels empty. No, there it is. There's one that was stuck. So then, if you put the lemon juice in there, then you want to just put it on high a little bit to let that kind of evaporate. And the greens will be all cooked. I just saw a big blob of coriander, so I'm gonna go ahead and stir it so that maybe some of the coriander will go across all of the just in that one spot. Yeah. The fun of cooking. Thought I timed it out just perfectly, and I really didn't, did I? Pretty close. The lemon juice is what the way down. I don't know if you can see my greens. They are almost done. We're just gonna let that saute a little bit longer while we go ahead and do the other fun stuff, which is eat and put it on a plate.
Yeah, but the greens down first or the burger or.
You know, we're gonna do it both ways.
Okay.
So Miss Gina here is much better than I am at presenting it on the pan. So here I am being like, oh, I'll just put it on the plate and put the greens on the side. She's like, oh, well, should we put the greens on first and then put the burger on top? Well, so we'll do it both ways, and you can decide which way you prefer. And there's no right or wrong way. It's just slightly different way. So this is one way. I know it looks so good. And yeah, you can, I think I have to leave and then come back to know how good it smells. The house is going to smell really good with all the spices and everything else. And then the other thing that we are doing is we're going to take an avocado. And preferably it's a ripe one. So if you can kind of push it in with a little bit of a squeeze and it moves, then it's ripe. And I can't really pull it apart with those ones. And see, there's one way and another way. And this is why you needed to be here in person, so we could show two different ways. And now with the avocado,
So good, it's so bright and shiny.
let's figure out how to. I think 3 slices of avocado would be kind of nice. It looks nice. No, the forks are over there. Nice. So I don't think I would do very well as a chef in a restaurant because my presentation skills are somewhat, I don't know what to call them, lacking. That one probably should go over there. Yeah, good enough. You know, that's the thing. Everything is good enough as far as I'm concerned. You know, it doesn't have to be spectacular, but here are the two options. You can either put the burger on top of the greens or the greens on the side and then the avocado on top. And they both look really good, and the plate is very hot, and we have to sample it because that's what chefs do, right? You cook and then you eat, and you cook and you get to eat. So I'm just going to use a fork to cut, and I'm going to take a little bit of the spinach, a little bit of the avocado, and a little bit of the turkey burger. And it's really hot. Okay, it's really good. Miss Gina says it's really good. So if Gina says it's really good, then it probably is. Because I didn't pay her to say that.
Paid
We-
endorsement.
No, it's not a paid endorsement. But I'm still seeing the steam coming off, so like, I don't want to burn my mouth. Mm. 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 Mm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Definitely. Very good.
I think that little bit of lemon in the greens
Absolutely.
actually
It does.
enhances the avocado.
Yeah, and the avocado gives it that creaminess.
Mm-hmm. How about I chew my food, because we have to chew our food in order to digest it properly. I probably shouldn't be talking while I'm doing this, but my father would be very upset. Those were not the house rules. But next time, which is gonna be, I think, May 3rd, I think it is. It's the second Monday. I mean, the second Tuesday, so it's gonna be more like the 10th.
Yeah, 10th of Mother's Day.
So the 10th of May, we are gonna be making walnut stuffed chicken.
Mm.
And I haven't decided what the side is gonna be, but you're gonna have some kind of a vegetable. And maybe, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But that's what we're gonna make is a walnut stuffed chicken. Because we haven't made anything. Hey, the walnut challenge.
Mhm.
No, I didn't even realize I was doing the walnut challenge, just like the other show. But we're gonna do walnut stuffed chicken and some kind of vegetable on the side. And it's going to be fabulous, and hopefully it'll be fun. I hope you had fun today, as much as we did. And let me know in the comments below how you liked it, how yours turned out. And if you have any suggestions for future classes or have any questions on what we did today. And you can always contact me directly, Joanna, at nutritioninmotion.net, or just go to www.nutritioninmotion.net and contact me. And if you love this class, feel free to donate $10 through Venmo or PayPal so that I can keep making more of these classes. Enjoy, and it's been a pleasure having you join us for Cooking Fun with me, Joanna.